Hi, welcome to First Time Stories podcast, which is part of firsttimehomebuyerschool.com. I'm John Wake, and now we're going to have part two of Kristin LaVanway's interview of her first home. Part one was her first home. Part two, right now, is going to be her first home after a divorce and her first home after foreclosure. She's great. You'll love this. Okay, so how did that first house end up? You sold it when? You made a lot of money on it, right?
No, actually, we made no money on it because I bought it for $78,200 in 1988, and then I sold it in 1991 for a whopping $79,900. So I don't even think that covered my closing costs or my commission. So I think I ate it on that a little bit.
And you did improve it too, you were saying
Yeah.
in that previous episode.
The house we bought next, though, and I know this isn't a first house, but just to close that out, we got a good deal on the buy side. It was during the savings and loan crisis, so we got a great deal on it. We made money on that next house. So,
Cool.
there's a lesson there, I guess. Sometimes you eat it on the sell, but you make it on the buy. You always make money on the buy.
Yeah, if you're buying and selling at the same time, it doesn't matter if the market
Yeah.
is up or down. It kind of is a
But if you
wash.
buy the house for a good price, then when you sell it, that's when you make your money.
Good. So it's different after a divorce to buy your a house?
It was different. It was very emotional time for my family. So I have four boys, and they were high school age down to fourth grade at the time. So it was tough. It was a tough time, and I ended up moving out of our house. When I was married, we lived in a house in Gilbert, and I wanted to buy a house close to there, but I didn't want that house because it was a horse property, a lot of maintenance, a single mom, working mom. I didn't want that. So I wanted to buy a house that was close by so it was easy for the kids to see their dad. So we bought a house a mile away, actually right a mile from not even a mile from here in Val Vista Lakes, and I
By the way, we're at this great place. It's called the Water Ranch. It's a park in Gilbert, and it has these big ponds. And this is wild. There's all these people with binoculars. I've seen a zillion people with cameras taking pictures of birds.
yeah,
It's a really natural,
it's a
great area. It's full of
sanctuary.
dogs and kids. It's
Right. There's
cool.
a crane right there eating a fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just got a fish.
And anyway,
Right.
this was less than that a mile from
Right.
that
So
house.
my house when I was married is across the street from here. The horse property is across the street from here, and we bought a house right over at Val Vista Lakes, right on the other side of Greenfield. So that was nice, and it was nice because everybody was excited about it, having this house,
Your
and
kids.
they were, and it was a great neighborhood. They had friends that lived
Oh,
there.
perfect.
It has a great clubhouse, so they didn't have to get with their friends to go to the clubhouse. They could go themselves because they got the membership card and everything. So it was great.
How'd you
The
find that realtor?
That realtor was probably one of the best realtors in town because it was me.
Oh, you became an agent then?
I was an agent by then.
Ah.
So I bought the house by myself. It was a good transaction. It was empty. They had moved out. So it was nice to be able to go check on it and things like that. It was a nice transition for us. The only downside of the whole thing was that it was 2006. It was June of 2006,
2006.
which if you look at any chart, you'll note that that's the peak.
I'm
That's
so
like the
sorry,
most
Kristen. I'm so sorry.
expensive time to buy a house.
They used to say in real estate it's location, location, location. No, it's timing, timing, timing.
Yes, the timing was very bad. So little did I know that the moment that I took those keys that I was losing equity. So it
Oh.
was a great
Well, you got a
house.
good attitude right now, but I think the story is going to take a dark turn here.
It was because eventually, the market crashed, and I'm in real estate, so my income was very much impacted. I was a new real estate agent, so it was significantly impacted. And basically, I lost everything. We lost the house. We got to experience that whole mortgage crisis, the entire thing, including the foreclosure experience. So
I remember on your YouTube channel you have some pretty, what do I say, intense videos
it
about.
was. I ended up because I was doing the videos at the time. There is a long story, but I was in a bankruptcy, and I was trying to protect my house because I really wanted to stay, even though in hindsight it was ridiculous because it was so. I think it's maybe now finally back where the value is where I bought it. But
Oh,
if
12
you
years
can,
ago, 12
yeah, if
years
you can
earlier.
imagine that. But anyways, it looked like maybe we were going to get it, save it, and then it looked like it got foreclosed on, and then they said no, and then they said yes. It was all day, and I realized that that's a experience that so many people, millions of people, were having at that time. So it was really, really tough. But like a lot of people, we got through it and we survived, and it was a blip in our history, but definitely not the end of the world.
Well, back then, no one expected home prices to fall. So I don't know how you could have gotten around that.
No, who would have known?
No one knew.
The where it really clicked for me, and again, I was a new agent, so I didn't know a lot, but I was showing clients these homes in this one neighborhood, and there was a house that they had their eye on, and the agent who listed it had a $50,000 price reduction, like reduced the price in one swoop by 50 grand because he was an experienced agent and he could see how fast the market was declining. And if you remember back then, you really had to chase those prices. You had to like move down to where those prices were going to be in like 2 weeks because they were coming down so fast,
Yeah,
and try and get an offer before they dropped again.
that's kind of my thing I learned from that is try to price it where you think prices will be in 2 months. So if
Yeah,
prices are going up, that works in your favor. If prices are going down, that also prevents you from chasing the market down for a year and selling it for 100,000 less.
exactly, exactly. So it's crazy times. I guess, in a way I'm lucky that I got to know exactly how the whole thing felt. But it all worked out. It all worked out. So we lost the house we rented for 4 years, and during that time I got back on my feet and built my real estate business up. And so finally I was down to one kid at home, three off on their own, and I looked at my youngest. I'm like, we need a pool. We need a swimming pool. I want to buy a house. He's like, yeah, let's buy a house. So we bought the house I'm in now. It's what a lot of people did. You get through the waiting period of the short sale, foreclosure, bankruptcy, whatever it is you did to get through that.
Did you do an FHA loan or?
Did an FHA loan. The house that I bought, I wanted to get out of Gilbert. I wanted something with more of an urban downtown vibe, but I couldn't do Scottsdale or Phoenix because my son was still in school. So we settled for downtown Mesa, which is sort of an up and coming downtown area. I think it's a couple years away still from really clicking, but it's just a great area. I live in a historic neighborhood. My house was built, it's only slightly older than my
I
first
was going to say
house.
the 50s, right?
It's built in 52, but it's in this neat historic neighborhood. So when I bought it, I did FHA, I did down payment assistance. So I bought it with no money really out of my pocket because I had my commission towards the closing costs, and I think I'm gonna be throwing, $500 or something.
Talk about the down payment assistance.
The down payment assistance program, they have a couple here in Arizona. I think it's a great tool. I just did a video on it
Hmm.
that I posted at 2 o'clock this morning, which
That's
is
the one you were working
which
on?
is why I'm looking a little rough this morning. But I think it's a good thing because right now, we're in a seller's market, strong seller's market, and prices are appreciating pretty significantly. So the longer you wait to get in, the more it's going to cost you. We have really low interest rates right now. They're going to go up. They have got to go up this year. So a lot of people don't have that down payment for that first house, and you save it up and it takes a long time and you kind of chase it because the house prices are going up. So they have these down payment assistance programs where it's actually a grant. It's money you don't have to pay back. There's one in Maricopa County called Home in Five, for example, where you can get either a 3 or 4% grant. If you get a little extra, you get a little 1% bonus if you're a first responder or a teacher or you're a veteran. You can qualify for an even higher grant.
That's a big grant.
It is. It covers, if you're FHA, it's a 3.5% minimum down payment. 3% of it's covered by this grant program.
Holy mackerel.
And the cost is you pay a little higher interest rate. So I paid a little higher interest rate for mine, and that was it. It was just money that they gave me at the closing, and I didn't have to chip in. So it was great. They just changed the program this year, so it's not quite as generous. The grant is now a lien on your property, a silent second for 3 years, then it goes away. But if you need to refinance or sell your house during that 3 year period, you'll have to pay back the money. And then the interest differential is a little higher now. As an example, if say a four and a quarter interest rate for FHA right now, you're going to pay 5.5% for the down payment, which is a higher differential than I
Than it
paid for
used to be
sure.
then when you did it. Yeah.
It's still a good deal though, to get in and start
That's
getting
a lot
building
of
the
money.
equity.
It's 3%?
Mhm.
Wow.
3%. Yep, and there's different programs. There's one that services Pinal County. There's one that services some different areas. Like it's a weird combination, and it's a really, really restrictive program. So not very many people are qualified, but it actually gives a 10% down payment. But I think it's really to try and get those underserved areas, get some home ownership in there. So that's a one. There's a, you can also go USDA, that's zero down, or VA loan is zero down. So down payment, shouldn't be that big of a hurdle to get into home ownership. So, my house, I used down payment assistance. I also got a 203K loan, which is the home improvement
Hmm.
loan, because this is a ranch style home and all the bedrooms were down one hallway, and I didn't want to be in the same hallway as my kids.
Four
Because by the
boys.
time we got this whole thing going, I had another kid that moved back home. I was like, nope, I need more space. So there was this weird kind of family room area that I converted into a master. So I added a bathroom and a bedroom essentially. So I turned my 3 bedroom, 2 bath into a 4 bedroom, 3 bath.
Tell me about the mechanics of getting that loan where you can get the money to improve the house at the time you buy it.
Well, like a
Was
lot of
a
things
lot
I
of paperwork
do, there was
or
a story there too. So here's how it works: is you go ahead and you set up the buy, you get your purchase contract accepted, and then it's part of the loan process. This 303K loan, you have to get a contractor who is registered through this 203K program. So they have to have some certain credentials to do it, and they give you an estimate. So that's what your loan money is going to be based on, is that
oh,
estimate.
that written estimate? Okay.
And so I was working with a contractor who was recommended to me by several people that I knew, and he really dropped the ball. And so I couldn't get him to do the estimate, and he just kept putting it off and putting it off to the point where I was now missing my closing date,
Whoa.
and I was paying a per diem.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I had to get another contractor, and that made it really stressful because if you're doing a big remodel like that, usually you have time to consult with your contractor and really sort things out. And I was basically in tears with this new guy who was really excellent, saying I need an estimate like today because I'm paying $50 a day to try and keep this deal alive. And I would have lost my earnest money, and I would have lost all,
It's
everything if I
the
didn't
end
pull
of
it
the world
together.
there.
So it was a bit of a scramble to get that done, but he was great.
Well, it
And
sounds like you did everything right though on that first contract because he was recommended by people you knew.
right,
I mean, what more could you have done to?
it is a hard thing because unless you know going in that you're going to do this, you don't do the work ahead of time, right? I mean, I didn't know I was going to do this remodel until I saw the house. That would be the only suggestion I'd say, is if you could do some of the work ahead of time before you're under the clock of a 30-day, or maybe go for a little longer. In fact, I did have a longer escrow period to try and work that out. I think it
That
was
makes sense.
I think it was maybe a 60-day actually.
So you had time to do the paperwork for
But
the
it did,
loan.
yeah. But at the end of the day, I was paying per diem, which was funny because the original contractor still wanted to work with me, and I was like, "No, I'm done with you." And so he sent me a fruit basket. Like, please give me another chance. Here's a fruit basket. And I was like, "No, I don't think I need a fruit basket.
What?
I think I need to stop paying $50 a day waiting for you to get your act together."
Yeah, so
So
that makes sense. So you couldn't know that until you saw the house. Oh, so when you close, you end up with this bank, what, a separate account with a draw on it for the.
yeah, there's a draw, and you get a person administrator that you work with, and it's you have your lender, but it's a separate department that handles the
Oh, okay,
203K.
okay.
So you work with a different group of people, like at headquarters or
From the
whatever,
mortgage, from the loan
and
officer's
then you get a good
company.
contractor. That's the key, is the good contractor who does most of the work. So there's draws. There's an original draw to get them started, and then they do a series of draws as the work progresses. You have, I think, 6 months to do all the work. It was a pretty generous amount of time to get it done.
Yeah, well, that's nice because then you have the chance to do it the way you want.
Exactly, exactly. That was really good because now I was able to do that remodel with, a very low interest loan. And the really amazing thing is, okay, so I did the FHA, so I'm paying mortgage insurance, because I came in with 3.5% down. But with that remodel and with some raising values, I refinanced in less than 2 years out of my PMI. So I I
Oh,
I
that's
had,
nice.
I was close to 20% equity, but I was able to do, it's a lender deal where you pay a slightly little tiny higher interest rate and they cover, because it was only like, I think I was maybe like 17%
Equity
equity.
and
So they just had it, there was like a really low amount of mortgage insurance, and so the lender basically paid it on my behalf.
oh, that's cool. That worked out good. When
Yeah.
did when did you buy that house?
In 2014, October of 2014.
Also by
So
oh
it's
you
been three
okay.
years now that we've been there. Yeah.
Okay. So by 16 you had appreciated enough.
Yeah.
That was that was really good. Your timing was excellent.
Yeah, that worked out great. So
You should have
really,
bought and foreclosed sooner, so you could have bought this home sooner.
well, yeah, there you go. But yeah, so this is probably my most successful financial transaction. I finally know what I'm doing.
Your third,
Yeah,
was that your
third
third
time's.
home or your fourth home?
This will be my fourth home. Yeah, one, two, three, fifth home.
Fifth. Wow, that's really good.
That was great from Kristin. She's really good. Kristin LaVanway. We have one more podcast with her where she summarizes all of her tips for home buyers. So don't miss that. It's a short podcast. It's part 3.